Hey, welcome back to another episode of Soulful Sundays with Madge. If you are new to this channel, my name is Madge, and I want to thank you all for supporting the channel and coming along with me on this journey as we discuss challenges that come up at different times in our life and how our perspective can be a great tool in helping us to overcome these life obstacles. And as always, if you like what you receive, feel free to hit that like button. You can leave a comment below, ring the bell to subscribe to the channel. This way, when I upload, you will receive notification. And you can always email me at askmadge18@gmail.com. So with that being said, we're gonna go and get into this week's topic, which is forgive yourself. Maya Angelou once said, forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. And how true that is when I think about forgiving myself and the words that I would use in holding myself hostage to what I did in the past, the shame, the guilt, the embarrassment. I never quite looked at it like, Madge, you didn't know, so how could you have done it any different than what you did? And I think about that, and I don't know if you've ever been there where things happen or something happened in your past and you use words to say like, oh, how could I have done that? I just feel so silly or so stupid. What are people going to think about me? How could I have allowed that to happen? And a lot of times what we really truly don't realize is that very quote that Maya Angelou stated, that if we did not know it, how are we supposed to do anything any different? And it truly starts with forgiving ourselves. And before I go into my thoughts on forgiving myself from the past, I like to think now, I'll start with this. This is one way that I help myself when I have moments still to this day where I want to start shaming myself and I want to start getting down on myself for things that I think I could have done differently or said differently. Think about a child, right? So there's a child that's hurting, that's crying, that's in pain. When you envision a child that's hurting, are you going to yell at that child or are you going to comfort that child? Are you going to keep that child down on the ground while they're hurting in pain? Or are you going to pick that child up and embrace that child and hug that child and use kind words and comfort that child and say everything's gonna be okay? Let me clean the scrape. Let's put a Band-Aid on it. Let's fix it. Let's make it better, right? So I think it starts there a lot of times with us, is us having that same mindset when it comes to our own selves. How would we embrace a child? So let's work on embracing ourselves the same exact way and forgiving ourselves with compassion and showing ourselves some love. And to be honest with you, a lot of times in my past where I would shame myself, if I had to be really honest with myself on like why I shamed myself or why I would be so hard on myself, is because usually deep rooted underneath that shame or that embarrassment is, what are others going to think? What are others going to say? So just maybe if I go ahead and I just say it to myself, if someone else says it, then maybe I'll be able to take it better because I've already said, yeah, that was stupid of me, or yeah, I was wrong for that, or I could have looked at it differently, or I could have did it differently. So then when people bring it forth, it's better to be with the in, right, than be outward. So it's like, it's better to be with the crowd and be agreeable than to stand out on the side and have to really deal with it and really figure out what you could have done and how you can learn from it. So like a lot of times I would shame myself because it's like, well, if I just go ahead and shame myself, then maybe it doesn't matter when other people shame me. And it makes me think back to like when I was going through getting my divorce, I literally was like shaming myself. And like now when I look back at it, I was shaming myself because I was taking in energy of what others was gonna think of me. They were gonna think, oh wow, she failed at marriage. Oh look, she can't keep a man, she can't keep her husband. Look, her husband doesn't even wanna be with her, right? So I was having all of these thoughts. And when I was having those thoughts, I was taking in that energy. But the thing about it was, I don't even know if people were thinking that or saying that. It was just in my head. It was something that was in my head that I was saying or thinking that other people were perceiving about me. But truly, it was what I was actually perceiving about myself. But I say all this to say that it made it hard for me to forgive myself because I was holding on to all these negative emotions around my divorce and just really beating myself up for it without taking into consideration that I truly did the best that I knew how to do. And it didn't work out. It didn't last forever. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes things don't last forever. But if we sit and, or for me, if I just sit and continuously think about and meditate on the shame of it all, instead of having some compassion and love for myself, every single day, all I'm gonna do is contemplate on the shame. But when I took a step back and removed the shame and gave myself some compassion and some love and some forgiveness, I realized I did the very best that I could do. And once I realized I did the very best that I could do, I was able then to forgive myself. And then once I was able to forgive myself, it opened me up to be able to say, now, what can I learn from this? How can I be better from this? Not better for another man, not better to get back my husband, but just better for myself. And this is what I find forgiveness can do for us. Because what we're really doing is we're closing the door to the shame, we're closing the door to holding on to the past, and we're opening up a door to possibilities. We're opening up a door to a better narrative, a better outlook on life as we move forward. So that is truly my advice to you, is to really work on forgiving yourself and ask yourself sometimes when you're really truly hard on yourself and you're thinking like, how could I have done that, or why did I do that? Ask yourself like, okay, am I being hard on myself right now because I could have done it any differently? Did I truly know better? Or am I now learning to know better? And am I beating myself up because I believe other people, external factors, are going to judge me for this? Or am I truly feeling this way? Because I find a lot of times it's because of what we think other people are going to perceive about us versus how we truly feel. But when we start asking ourselves these questions, I think then we open ourselves up to really becoming aware of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how we can learn from it. And then we're able to just embrace ourselves, have some compassion for ourselves. And if you struggle with that, picture yourself as a child and say, in this moment, right now, I am down on myself, I'm shaming myself, I'm thinking I'm a horrible person. But if I was looking at a child in my situation, and this child was shaming themselves and they were crying and they were in need of a hug, what would I do? Would I shame them some more, or would I show them some love? And if you would show them some love, show yourself some love. Imagine that that child is you. Show yourself some love, forgive yourself, and learn from it so that you can do better next time. So I thank you so much for tuning in another week with me and supporting the channel. And as always, I'm going to leave us with a quote, and that quote is by Buddha. And it reads, "Our sorrows and wounds are only healed when we touch them with compassion." So touch your sorrow and touch your wounds with some compassion so that you can heal yourself and you can forgive yourself and you can move on. So I thank you. I want you to stay blessed and I want you to have a good week.